Hello again, everybody. My name is Ben. I am a senior coding specialist at Learning People here. I've been here for a long time, 9 years now, and in all that time, I must have advised thousands of people on careers in coding. Generally, when I refer to coding, I'm talking about things like web development, app development, games, data science, just about anything that involves an element of coding. And what I'd like to do today, what we're going to do today is I'm going to tell you just a little bit about the Learning People for those of you that may not have spoken with us before, just so you know who we are and exactly what we do. And then Marisha from our career team will talk a little bit about that, about the various processes in our career team and how we help our students to find those first jobs. And then most importantly for this session, we have a student of ours, Rory, who has gratefully for us agreed to answer a few questions and talk with us about his experience so far, particularly in data science and getting his first job. So look, to tell you a little bit about us, and I could waffle on for a bit, so I'll try and keep it short for you, but in short, in the last 12 years, the Learning People have become the largest e-learning provider in Europe by quite some margin. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. It largely comes down to the dedication that we have to our students, making sure that what they're learning is actually going to get them a job, great qualifications in many of our courses. The career service that we provide is second to none. For sure. So I think it's a combination of all of these things that have really driven our success. And now we're lucky enough to just have hundreds and hundreds of success stories. Rory's one of them, you'll hear from him. I'll talk to you a little bit more when we're answering questions about the various other things that we do, but I'm quite keen to get to Rory and hear what he has to say about his experiences. So Marisha, if you want to take a minute to talk about the career service and what you do there, and then we'll jump in with Rory.
Sure. Hi everyone, my name's Marisha. I have 12 years experience as a recruiter, and I've been with Learning People for the past 3.5 years now, I think. And we launched career services over a year ago with the aim of giving the tools and the confidence to navigate the job market and take control of your careers. And we'll take you through a three-phased process that's tailored to your own desired career path. So whether you want to be in software development, work your way up into data science, whether you want to be perm, contract, freelance, we can help you. So, you know, as students, you're already learning these skills that are in demand from employers, which is brilliant. But how do you actually build confidence to go out into the marketplace and engage with employers? So how do you have that confidence to make those first steps? So phase one is all about laying down those foundations to build your brand and to become a credible candidate in the marketplace. How to create a software engineering or a data analyst CV, and how to optimize your LinkedIn profile and start researching the tech industry and identifying companies that you'd like to work for. And at this point, you'll be having a one-to-one consultation with myself, perhaps, because you're all in different situations and you've all got different goals. And then what we'll do is we'll make a plan and move you into phase two, which is all about networking. Are you doing everything you can to be noticed as a developer or a data analyst? We really kind of encourage you to get out there and to build your connections with professionals in the industry and to grow your network in the world of data science. And that way you start opportunities that aren't even being advertised. So phase three is geared all around applying for jobs, working with recruiters, interviewing, and all the way through to landing your role. And all of these three phases are broken down clearly, and we'll support you through them. So we're constantly making steps towards better supporting our students. And one of the things that we recently launched during lockdown are monthly interactive workshops that we run. And that's focused on the job seeker and job searching. And it's a great opportunity for our students to ask questions and to hear what other fellow students are experiencing right now. So yeah, that's us in a nutshell. And I hope to work with some of you soon.
Great. Thanks, Marisha. So let's jump in with Rory. So I think to just give actually, you know what, I'll let Rory introduce himself. Rory, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your journey to date, and then I'll jump in with some questions.
Sure thing. So hi everyone, my name is Rory, and I have been taking the Learning People's courses, one in data science and one in Python as well. I currently work as a data analyst in Liverpool. However, I'm still a student at the same time. I was very fortunate enough to actually land a job whilst I was learning. Before that, I was a science teacher in Liverpool still. I sort of became a bit dissatisfied with my work. And at the same time, I started seeing these sort of ideas where it came to sort of automating things in Python. And I ended up trying to create my own little project for school just to make my work balance a bit easier. That ended up snowballing in about January time, where I decided to take that big leap, sort of leave teaching behind, just give it a go, just give this data analytics, data science, data engineering, just give that a go and see what it was. And that's how I came across Learning People. And yeah, they helped us out with Andrew, Marisha, and they've helped me get a job whilst in lockdown. So yeah, it's been quite the journey, very fast journey.
There's a few things there, isn't there? There's like you're saying a lot of things there, and I want to jump on those things because they're really valuable things for others to hear about, because inside of 6 months, as far as I can tell, you've learned enough to get your first job. So from the point that you decided to make a career change, you've learnt enough about data science to be able to land your first job as a data analyst, which is a great place to get started, and obviously your career will progress from there. But that's pretty incredible. I think just wanted to touch on that for a sec. Now, in your case, why did you decide you wanted to make a career change, in particular into data science? Because there's lots of things that you could have gone into, right? If you've gotten to a point in your career where you're thinking, for whatever reason, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life, so what can I do? How did you arrive at data science?
So back into as I was teaching and I was trying to figure out ways that I could make my teaching job easier. I had a friend that worked in code, and he mentioned Python. And in my off time, if I'm ever online, I'm usually seeing videos about people using Python to sort of automate daily tasks. And I figured out I wanted to make a sort of my own little database of the marks that my students were getting. We do have a program available on the school site, but I wanted to have my own so I could perform like data analysis on it, like, get graphs together, charts together, just to see if there are ways that I could improve my own teaching at the time. So I started looking at tutorials, I started looking at these things. This was back in about November, October time. And then just it got to the point where, as I was learning more and more about it, I was starting to get more interested in it. I was getting more behind the idea of working and doing that for a living. And so, yeah, that's more or less how it came to be. I was
just kind of realised you had an interest in it and clearly a bit of a knack for it.
Yeah, an interest in it. When people were going through the tutorials online, as I was listening to them, typing it up, doing the work, and then it just worked. And I was just seeing all the different opportunities I could have and all these sorts of things. And then over time, I started looking at just toying with the idea, really, of seeing what a job in working in tech would be. So not just being a data scientist, but working in cybersecurity or working in just in IT in general. Like and I realized it's such a broad spectrum of lots of different things that you can do, and a lot of different things that are in demand as well. And it's always going to be a growing industry when it comes to computing, especially in these times. Landing in data science just because I already had a degree in science, and we'd used statistical analysis programs before, specifically one called SPSS. And so I thought that would be quite helpful. I like the idea of breaking something down to numbers, breaking it down to graphs and charts, because that gives a more transparent look to things. And that's just always been an interest of mine. And yeah, it seemed just as I more and more got into it, the more it made sense to just give it a go.
And then obviously you looked into it, you left an inquiry on our website, and I'm assuming shortly after that you spoke with Andrew here. And how was your experience with Andrew? because there's a lot of things to talk through regarding the course and everything. Do you feel like that kind of made you really feel like, yeah, actually, this is what I'm going to do for sure?
Yeah, so I called Andrew in like January time, and or Andrew called me even, put the inquiry in on the website. He contacted me. He sort of talked through. We had a conversation about what sort of things I was interested in, what sort of things I wanted to do, how to go about getting these things done. And Andrew sort of said, "Oh, well, we've got these sort of courses. These courses have these sort of modules in them. You'll be learning about these sorts of things. And then on top of that, you have access to our careers service, and you also have access to a library. And this library had just about everything. It had anything from working in data analytics to things to do like working in teams and sort of motivational things as well. It's a really, really broad library, and it came pretty much free with the course, I'm pretty sure. So that was really helpful. It was really nice to sort of break up my learning with these little individual little bits that I could just sort of read and get some insight from as well. And then on top of that, Andrew sort of talked me through financing it as well and things like that. He gave us a really, really confident sort of delivery of all the things that I need to know, all the things I need to expect to get into it. And he did even mention be potentially employed within, a certain amount of time, depending on how well we did on the course. He said it is possible. And at that time, I did doubt him a little bit, I will admit. Lo and behold, 6 months later, here I am. So it's quite a crazy sort of thing to look back on, yeah.
And how would you describe the training? Because obviously you've learnt well enough to land your first role, so I can only assume it was good. But how would you describe the kind of delivery and the way that the training works?
Yeah, so the course is divided into separate modules. So, for example, the data science one that I was on, that was divided into data analysis, data engineering, DevOps, and data science itself as well. So there's 4 separate big modules, and those are broken up into smaller subsections, which in turn are broken up into lessons. Each of the lessons is usually anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes long, and you'll have an instructor for each one. You don't necessarily have the same instructor, but you'll have someone who's very well versed in whatever they're talking about. A lot of the people I've noticed, they've worked with people like companies such as Amazon or Google, or just really reputable companies, and you can sort of tell as they're explaining things and breaking it all down. It's very straightforward. You can code along with them as well. They use a specific IDE or sort of like a program, Jupyter Notebooks, whereas I was using PyCharm at the time. So a different IDE, different way of typing things up, but it still works. Everything still worked fine, and it was all good. You learn at your own pace. There's not really any deadlines apart from the end of the course. So I had a year to complete the whole course. And yeah, so every evening I just log on, get some lessons done, and then that'll be a little step forward. And if I wanted to pick up anything else, I could using the library.
So just for those that don't know, what Rory's describing there is our Precipio platform, where with most of our tech and dev courses, you'll also get access to our entire library of tech and dev courses. So often in the tech world, you follow a path to learn a particular skill or job role, but then you'll also have access to other things as well, because often a particular company or industry might use a certain type of technology, or sometimes you just need to learn a little something about something different that isn't in the course. So my point is, we give you access to all of those things just to make sure that whatever you might need, you're going to have access to it. And there's literally a search feature on there. You can search for anything you might need. There's quite literally hundreds of thousands of courses in there. Okay, moving on from that, let's talk about actually how you got that first job. So obviously you learned enough from the course, I assume, to feel confident enough to get out there fairly early on. But I don't actually know how you, Marisha, managed to swing that one. How did that go?
Yeah, so a few weeks into my course, I got contacted by Careers, got contacted by Marisha, and started suggesting these plans, which are divided into three, I believe, 3-step plans. And each one's a checklist of all the things that you need to do. And
you didn't get through them all, though.
I didn't even get through them.
No, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I still feel like I need to do that work as well. I still feel like
you didn't need to. You got the job.
But yeah, so Marisha, we arranged a call and we sort of talked about what I wanted to do for a career, how I was getting along with the course, what parts of it I was enjoying, what sort of parts that I was interested in, which I'd like to do further down the line. And yeah, so using those checklists, like the first one, pretty straightforward as can be. It's sort of just like reviewing your CV. What have you already got before you even started your course, which you could apply to your CV to make it more appealing to recruiters. And yeah, so working from there, then getting a LinkedIn set up and making sure our LinkedIn looked appealing. I had a LinkedIn account from way back when I was in uni, and that thing hadn't been touched for years. Didn't even have like a picture, like a profile picture or anything. So Marisha gave us ideas on how to make that look better, how to make it more appealing. And then just over time, like as I was developing it, and then sort of putting together a portfolio. So basically my own project that I was working on, the thing to do with schools and marks and getting data analytics out of exams. Just had that available on a GitHub repository, so just online, so people could have a look at it and see what I was up to, and then just filling in previous positions, what I was doing on the course. And then about 3 weeks in, I got contacted by a recruiter who mentioned that there was a job post available in Liverpool and asked if I wanted to apply for it, and I said absolutely, I don't see why not, let's go for it. Usually when it comes to that sort of thing,
sorry, was that through LinkedIn? Was it?
Yeah, through LinkedIn. I got contacted on LinkedIn. He sent us a message on there, and then he asked, do you just give us your phone number or your email address? I will contact you there, talk more. And yeah, we had a conversation about it. He mentioned what the course was, not the course, what the job was. And yeah, before I knew it, I was working on a project, sort of like a developmental project, as like a test almost, or assignment. Got that completed, got that submitted, and then 3 or 4 days later, I got offered the position.
Oh, that's just incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty out there, that's for sure.
What was the project about, Rory? What happened?
Ooh,
That's an interesting story there.
Yeah. The project was it was working with SQL, structured query language, and that we do have that sort of stuff available on the servers, on the course even. But it was very, very in-depth sort of work, and it was just it was working with data from an Italian company, or these big Italian companies, and sort of using SQL to filter it out and sort of put it all together. You break it apart and then save it in a CSV file and then have it all processed. Essentially, it was more or less data cleaning for the most part, because the company that I work with, they're planning on moving out to Europe, so they wanted to make sure that we'd be able to work with European data, get used to using European websites, and that's what I've been doing today. Actually, today I've been working on French and German websites, doing pretty much the same thing as what my assignment requested me to do. But instead of Italy, it's going to be France and Germany instead. And yeah, it was difficult. It did take me a few nights to get done, and there were a few moments where I was pulling my hair out and sort of screaming at the laptop. But I got it done.
There it goes sometimes.
Yeah. Honestly, that's it definitely happens. That's for sure. But once you get it done, there's no better feeling. Again, it sent off was great. Yeah, we're really happy with it. But
didn't something happen that you worked something out that nobody else did?
Of course, yeah. So they delivered the content that we had to use through AWS, and they had reports for each month, pretty much each month for a calendar year of all their finances for this Italian company, and they're all available online. And when I went to check the website, it was down. There was no way of getting any of the information, but I got the first month of data for some reason, but I didn't get the rest of them. And then I quickly realized if I just changed the endpoint of the hyperlink to the respective month, I could get all that data together and then just download it all from there. And then when I had the interview about my project, the guy asked, like, we had 12, 13 people working on this thing, and you and one other person were the only ones that figured out you could just type in the month and get it that way. Because inevitably in data science, working with computing, you're going to come up with like the smallest thing will create the biggest of areas. And in this case, that's what happened with him. And so he was quite amazed that I was able to sort of get my head around that. So that definitely contributed to the final opinion, that's for sure.
That's amazing. Well done. So one final question for you, and then we'll jump into some questions that we have had sent in. But what would your advice be to anybody thinking about career change into tech right now?
I'm trying to think of one that isn't cliche, but honestly, the one that comes to mind is just go for it, just do it, go for it. Like, I was quite fortunate enough to be able to do it during lockdown, and at the same time, once lockdown was lifted, go into part-time work as a supply teacher. But even then, I can guarantee that people can get this work done. They can get these things sorted. If they're just working evenings, you don't have to go through an entire module in one night. You can just do a handful of lessons. If each one's probably 5, 10, 15 minutes, you can just sit down, you can eat your food while you're doing it, and you can just get it done. And just doing those little bite-sized increments, just gradually over time, you're really going to start developing, and you'll be shocked how much you begin to learn, how much you begin to retain, and start writing your own projects. That's probably another thing I recommend as well. Write your own projects, write your own portfolios. If you've got something that interests you, like, I don't know, if you're into football for whatever reason. I mean, I'm not into football personally, but if you are, there are websites online where you can download information about the entire Premier League, all the players, like all the statistics for it, and you can use that. You can put a project together, analyzing that data, and then if you have that ready and you can talk about it on your LinkedIn or in your interviews, that goes a heck of a long way. That shows that as well as learning about it, you're actually doing it at the same time.
Thank you. That's it's kind of one of the major reasons that I think a lot of people get into data science, not just because they're good at it and they like the area, but most sports clubs now have usually more than one data scientist, actually, because data scientists have the ability, like you say, to use that data so that you can see, this player runs that fast, wins that many tackles, scores this many times when they shoot. And I've really simplified that. There's hundreds of points of data for each of these things, but you can start making accurate predictions or find strengths and weaknesses for any given team based on that data. It's not based on, I feel like this player is weak at that, or the team is weak at this or strong at that, or whatever. Like, the data tells you that stuff categorically. So it's a really valuable role in any sports club. And I think data scientists play an incredibly valuable role in any organization, because they're able to help the leaders make better decisions based on that data, whether it's where we can make more money or save money, or where we can make better improvements or, optimizations or whatever. So yeah, that's a really great thing to get into for sure. They pay really well, those sports clubs too. Definitely a great thing to look at.
Yeah, 100%.
Have you looked at them? It's pretty insane, some of them.
I mean, when I was doing the when I was working with Marisha, looking at sort of opportunities at working in different places, I did have a look at things such as the UFC, because that's personally my sport of choice. And I was looking at that, and I saw there was a data scientist role. It was in Las Vegas, so it was pretty far-fetched. But I saw it and I was like, that looks so good. So that's the end goal at the moment. Pardon?
Remember what it was paying?
Sizable amount, that's for sure. Nothing in my eyes bulge. I want to say it was punching towards the 6 figures. So it was obviously I was never going to get that, but a guy can always dream. Right?
Not yet. That's one of the beauties of tech, is that you move forward so quickly. Just a few 3, 4, 5 years of experience, you could be looking at that stuff. Okay, let's jump into some questions. I'm a little conscious of time. So Gail has asked, do you think remote work is the way forward for development and programming roles. So I'm going to be answering these questions, by the way. It's not you, Rory, unless you want to. So in short there, Gail, I would say yes. Remote work is something that you can do in tech roles, but I find that most companies, they're not too bothered about where their technical staff work from, so long as they're keeping up with what they're supposed to be doing. Like a lot of our tech guys, they'll work from home. They might come into the office one day a week. Some of them only work from home. Some of them prefer to be in the office. So really, it depends on what you're looking for, and you just make that known in your interview. But for the most part, I'm finding most tech companies are not too bothered where their technical staff work from, as long as they're doing their work. What do we have here? Marisha, this might be a better question for you to answer. So John says, what skills do you look for from someone when they're looking to change their careers into this industry? What do you think? What skills do you look for?
Wow, there's lots. Enthusiasm, willingness to learn, amazing communication skills like Rory has, and a decent foundation in the skills that you've been trained in as well. So, showcasing things in your projects, for example. Being good with numbers, being curious. I think that's a really big one. It's, being interested in the meaning behind data. If you've got any experience in working in projects like project management as well, that's really useful. Any others that you can add to, Rory?
Well, a lot of my work involves sort of things such as problem solving. There's every day pretty much there's I'll be getting an error message about something to do in my code, and it racks your brain, it really does. But being able to sort of not really give up on it, you've got to get that little bug fix, whatever it may be, and just being willing to test things over and over again, and just trying to figure out different ways, having different thought processes when it comes into solving a problem. That helps as well, being able to sort of think outside the box, maybe seeing like a different route around it, things like that. But yeah, Marisha's nailed most of those, yeah.
That's pretty much good advice for anybody either in a coding role or learning coding, I think. It's best advice I can give is just don't give up, keep going, because as you said there, Roy, there are absolutely going to be days when you might as well be reading Greek or it's just not making sense, something's not working. And sometimes it just takes you to leave it for a bit, come back to it later, or try a different thing or whatever it might be, but just don't stop, keep going, because it will come eventually. Okay, we've got another question from Eva. How old is too old to start a career in software development or data science? I mean, there isn't really an age limit on those kinds of things, honestly. So look, if you're asking, am I too old to change my career? I would say, look, as long as you're not retired or anything, then you're probably going to be all right. We have students in their 50s doing stuff like this, some in their late 50s, for a number of reasons, honestly, because coding, things like web development or data science, these are things that you can learn well in a relatively short amount of time, relatively easily start a new career in those fields, and relatively quickly move forward with a career in that field, whether you're looking for, towards the later half of your career, I guess, whether you're thinking actually it'd be nice to slow down a little, work from home or travel. That's a great way to, spend those later years if you want to. But for the most part, and I've been doing this for so long, but I haven't found employers really making decisions these days on age, race, gender, sexuality, or otherwise. They just don't care about those things. They just need people that can do the work. That's the most important thing. So I would not worry about your age, whatever it is. And one final question we have from Ahmed. So he says, what advice would you give someone looking to keep with the ongoing technology advances and progress in their career? I'm not sure I'm understanding that question. What advice would you give to someone that is looking to keep up with the ongoing technology advances and progress their career? So, I mean, basically keep learning, I guess. I think anybody in the tech industry should be willing to learn something new every once in a while. You don't want to be in a constant state of learning. That would be awful for anyone. But, every 2 or 3 years, just think about what direction you'd like to move off into, because A lot of coders, you know, maybe they'll go straight into data science, maybe they'll start in web development, but with some of the skills that you learn there, for instance, with Python is used in so many industries. So maybe learn about how that applies to different industries, because that opens up lots of other opportunities for you. Python's used in back-end web development, in data science, in cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, manufacturing, robotics. I mean, look, you name it, you can probably build it using Python. So my point is, look at those other things later on. Maybe you develop an interest in those things later on, and you learn those things too. It opens up more opportunities for you to keep learning. In terms of just keeping yourself up to date with stuff, you'll kind of naturally do that so long as you're working, with those skills, and you'll be just kind of naturally made aware of new things as they become available. But I mean, we do have many of our students that have an ongoing enrollment with us and access to our Precipio platform, and they just every now and then they dip in to pick up a little something new. You could do something like that, but like I said, being in a constant state of learning is exhausting. I'd say just pick something new every 2 or 3 years. So that is everything from us, and almost bang on time to half an hour. One of these days we're going to get it right. So Rory, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today about your experiences so far. And let me just say again, well done for doing as well as you have, because to decide on a new career choice and to learn enough and get your first job inside of 6 months, that's really impressive, really, really impressive. So well done. Now, look, we'd like to talk with all of you. Thank you to everybody else for joining us as well. You'll see my email address on the screen here. You will also be emailed later on with more details and a recording of this in case you missed it, also with the ability to contact me back. But get in touch if you are wondering about this, about possibly furthering your career in the tech world. You're looking for a career change, or you don't even know and you just think you want to talk with somebody about it. That's okay too. Get in touch. We'll talk it through and see if what we do is also right for you. So thank you again, everybody, and I'll catch you next time.